Hi guys, and welcome to Debbie's Rusty Brush. I'm Deborah Straight. I'm the owner and artist here, and what I do here on this channel is thrift hauls, thrift flips, furniture redos, canvas art. Basically, if I can add paint, that's what I do. All right, so today what we're going to do is we are going to do a furniture flip, but we're going to show you how to take a very solid piece of furniture and do very little work to it to make it be modern and look really, really nice. So what I have here, guys, I'm going to flip you down just a little bit. I have this gorgeous dresser, and this is not an expensive dresser. It is very heavy. There are elements that are real wood in here, but much of this is MDF or particle board, plywood. And so what is really good about this piece, all of the drawers work extremely well. They all have their stoppers. All of that is good. These drawer fronts are amazing. They are solid wood. They've got some amazing detail in the wood grain. They are a really good color. There aren't really any scratches. They're just in really good shape. We are going to leave these alone. They've got some nice brass hardware here. We're not going to do anything with these drawers other than throw some wax on them to give them some nourishment and some protection. But we are going to paint all of the framework that goes in between and around these drawers. And we're going to do the sides, the bottom down here, and the top. I thought about trying to save the top, but it is really bad. Let's move you a little closer here. Try to not get you guys seasick. If you can tell, it's got a nice big gouge here. It's got some scrapes and gouges all along here. It's just got some muck. This is definitely got a veneer top to it, so I can't really sand that deep, or we are going to run out of what looks like the wood grain here. So what I'm going to do, I am going to pull some bondo. I'm going to fill the deep gouges. I've got one right here that I'm going to fill. I'm going to scuff sand this, clean it really, really well, and then we are going to paint it with Spanish Moss by Dixie Belle, which is going to be a great accompaniment to these drawers and that hardware. So guys, that is basically what we are going to do to this piece, is just paint the framework. We're going to give it a good clean, a good scrub. We're going to fill a few spots that definitely we don't want to show through when we go through and do the paint. We want it to look nice and smooth. If I find that we're going to have any little dings or anything, I may go through and do some distressing on this, but that is not my plan. I do not want distressing. I want the top and the framework and the bottom to be a nice even coating of the paint. In fact, I'm probably going to use a foam roller to apply the paint. And then that way it will just have a really nice look to it. And these drawers are going to be the star of the show, and I'm not going to do anything to them but wax them. I will do a little bit of sanding on the inside where somebody has written with marker, and just make sure that those are cleaned up. And that is all we're going to do. We will do a quick video of each step. You won't see the entire process, but you'll see how I go about doing each step, and you can see how quick and easy it is to take a piece of furniture that's solid, that's in good shape, and bring it into a new look, a refreshed look, something that can stand the test of time for another 50 years. All right, so without further ado, we are going to hop into this. If you like these kind of videos, please subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell notification so you get notified anytime I upload a new video. I have been really lax on getting those on there. I'm going to try to do better and try to get one a week up if possible. Also follow me on my other social media. I am on Facebook as Debbie's Rusty Brush, and Instagram as Debbie's_Rusty_Brush. Also on TikTok at Debbie's_Rusty_Brush, and here on YouTube, of course. So I hope you stick around, follow me, and let's get going on this piece. Okay guys, I am going to start with one of these Clorox wipes, actually a couple of Clorox wipes, and I'm just going to do a quick clean to get anything that might gum when I sand off. I don't want some of this stuff that's on here to gum up my sander, and I will give it a really good clean after I get the Bondo on and get that all sanded down and do my scuff sand. That's when I will do a really good clean, but I want to make sure that I've got any real gunky stuff off before I hit that step. So I like using these Clorox wipes. They get everything that I want off at this stage off. Okay, so now I'm removing the drawers, and what I'm doing on the back of each drawer is I'm just giving them a number. So when I go to put them back in, they go back in the right spots. And now I'm just going to mix up some Bondo. My can is really empty, so I'm going to go ahead and use the lid. And you just take the Bondo and you add the hardener and you mix it up really good. Now, this stuff, you want to make sure that you work pretty quickly with it because it does not take long for the hardener to start hardening up where it's impossible to work with. It only takes about 20 minutes for it to fully cure, depending upon how deep you're trying to fill, before you're able to sand it. So this stuff does work really fast. And so we're just going to give that a good mix here. Now I use all-purpose Bondo. You can get a wood Bondo. They make several different kinds. All I can find in town here is the all-purpose, so that's what I use. And I'm just going to fill this scratch here, the deep one, and I'm going to overfill just a little bit, and I can sand down to where it needs to be. That way I know I've got a good flat surface when I do my sanding, and I won't have anything that shows at all. And so I'm just going to show a little bit of the places I'm filling. I do fill a few other places, but I'm just showing bits and pieces of what I'm doing with this makeover as we go. Okay, so now I am going to give this a quick sand. Now I like to sand with the 220, and I like to scuff sand with my 220. Unfortunately, I cannot find any 220 here in town, so this is a 120 grit, and I'm just gonna get this sanded real quickly. I have noticed that as long as I'm doing a painted surface, I am okay using the 120 as my scuff sand. It doesn't put big marks or anything in what I'm working on. Now, if I was wanting to do wood and stain it, I would definitely want to find some 220 to be able to do that. So I'm just doing a quick scuff sand everywhere that paint is going to be, and doing a better sand where I need to get that Bondo down to where it is just filling the areas. Now I am going through and I am doing some hand sanding. There are places I do not have a surf prep, and there are places that I cannot get with my mouse sander, so
I'm just going through with a little bit of the sandpaper, and I'm just shaping those areas. And here where the bondo is right on this edge, I couldn't get my sander in there. This stuff sands pretty easily, so it's not hard to do with a hand sand, but I prefer to do it with an electric sander when I can. Okay, and then now what I'm doing is I am just vacuuming up all of that sanding dust, and before I give it a good clean and let it dry. I did lose the footage of me giving it that clean, and so I just use a crud cutter, and then I will rinse that off with water and let it dry good before I start adding paint. But I don't have a dust extractor, so I do like to use the vacuum to help me get the dust out of the area. Now I am going in, and I did decide to go ahead and brush this. And as you can tell, I'm misting the area to help the paint go on smoother. But I did decide to go ahead and brush the paint on versus using a foam roller, because there are areas that are not going to be completely perfect on this anyway, so the brush strokes are not going to bother me. So I missed my brush, I missed the piece of furniture, and I go ahead and just brush this on the entire area that will show around the drawers, that entire frame area. And I just keep going and get a good first coat on. And as you can tell, sometimes my rolly things do not roll along the way that they're supposed to. And so, sorry about that, guys. My dog is hearing another dog bark outside, and she's going a little nuts. All right. And so we're just going to continue on and get a first coat all the way on. Now I've got just some brown paper bag that I have crumpled up, and I am doing a quick sand in between my coats. This just helps level out any of the brush strokes that are there, and I don't have the 220 to work with, so a paper bag works really well. Okay, here we go again. We're going to mist the brush really well, mist the furniture, and just go in and put in a second coat. Now on this piece, all I had to do was 2 coats. I did go through, there was a couple areas that I went ahead and put on a little bit of a third coat, just on a few areas where it didn't quite cover to my liking. And so as you can tell with this, I am going in a different direction than I went on the first coat. And the reason that I am doing that is because it will give me better coverage by doing that. I'm not having to worry about a wood grain or anything, so I can go whatever direction I want to go. And so by going one direction on one coat, the other direction on the other coat, it really fills in and helps with those brush strokes, as well as gives me just a little bit better coverage overall. So I will just continue on and do that next coat, and then I'm going to do the paper bag trick again and just give this a quick sand between, as you can see, my light just went out, a quick sand between that and the top coat that I'm going to put on. Now I am going to be using a Dixie Belle flat as a top coat. And then I will wax over the top of that. I do like the furniture wax, but when you're dealing with the top of a piece like this that's going to get some use, I like to give it the double coverage. So I'm just using a sock. I've got some Dixie Belle flat that I've mixed in just a little bit of my paint color into. I like to do that because it just makes that top coat go on smooth and seamlessly. And so we're just going to do that and get that put on here using this sock. And I end up doing a total of 3 coats on the top of this with this clear coat and paint mixture. And because it is a flat, it adds the protection without the sheen. And then I will go through and put a wax on here, and we'll show that step as well. Just because I can buff that to a sheen, and I really like the look of furniture wax versus top coat. And so I typically only have a flat top coat around, and that way I have it to work with, but I typically wax my pieces. Now this is the first time that I am using this sock method to add a top coat, and I really like the way this worked out. I did mist my sock with water before I got started. Now I'm just adding Johnson's paste wax, and I'm going to be putting it on the drawer slide and the sides of the drawers where the drawers will slide. That just helps keep everything moving really well. I did not tape the section where I did the drawer slide that is on the bottom of the drawers, but I do everywhere the drawer will connect, and that keeps it sliding in and out really, really well. And then I go ahead and wax the rest of this piece. Now with this piece, obviously it's a vintage dresser, and the drawers at some point had obviously given out on this piece, and they built new drawers, and that is why the facings of these drawers are real wood, and that's why I wanted to keep them as the real wood. They were in really good shape, and I really like the look of them with the brass handles. But because they were handmade, they are just wood on wood. There are no drawer slides. They did an extremely good job, but the wax really helps all of that move. Now I'm just going to go through with a lint-free cloth and put wax over the rest of this piece. With this Johnson's wax, you put it on, let it sit for 30 to 40 minutes. It will get cloudy, and then you go in and buff it. I do prefer to use DIY clear wax typically on my pieces, just because it is so easy to work with and it doesn't have the harsh smell that the Johnson's wax does. But I am out at this point, and the Johnson's wax does give a very, very, very durable finish, and this piece will get a lot of use, so I am going to go ahead and use this. Okay, and now we are going to buff this. What I've got is my cordless drill, and I have got a Buffy's Buff-A-Lot that I attachment for my drill, and this helps me get this buffed down to a good shine with very minimal effort. I can do it with just a lint-free cloth. I can do it with a buffing brush just by hand, but this just takes care of about half that work for me, and I just love this attachment to my drill. Okay guys, so that is it for this redo. I am in love with how this turned out. It was a very simple redo. I didn't do much to this. I didn't do anything really to the drawers but clean them up, and I really like the way this turned out. I do not have a staged photo or video for you as it's going to my booth in Boise, and so I won't be able to put this one on my website. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch you next time.